So today I'm going to be looking at why random chance is a major problem for Darwinism. Random chance is at the base of Darwinism, and by random chance we're talking really hardball here. Evolutionists will talk about evolution will drive this change forward, as if evolution has some sort of consciousness itself and it becomes a pseudo-god, as it were. The whole point of Neo-Darwinism is it's like there is no force at all, there's no consciousness, there's no driving point, it's completely and utterly blind, totally inanimate in terms of its development on change of species. Now, and to do that, they use just random chance. And so I'm going to, on this little program here, simulate a little bit of random chance. So this number here is the target number we're after. And it's actually coming from, we actually know, lucky enough to know that's the right, there is a right answer out of all these items. This is a random function. They'll switch these between 1 and 0. And this here is the net result of that times that. So basically, this helps you pick some random numbers from this list, adds them up, and see if I get to the answer I'm after. The question is, how many tries goes in this cell does it take? When you have, this is a bit similar to how a child might play a game. You know, you played games when you were a child. You'd had a few. You tossed a coin. You got a heads. You got a heads. You got a heads. Well, eventually, not just eventually, but in a reasonably short time, you'll get a tails. I've got basically 2 numbers to pick from 3 to get the right answer. It took me 1 go, and I got the right answer. The second go took it 13 goes before I got the right answer. Next go 8. Next go 3. This is a sort of this level of small random events, rolling dice, etc., is the sort of childish level where people think, well, it's just human nature to think this is okay. That's random chance. You know, you try it a few times, you'll get the right answer. What this video is about is, if I want to show you how that doesn't work with random chance. But random chance is like the dumbest thing in the world once you get past the very, very, very small amount of numbers. This one here, what have we got? 8 numbers, and that's again the same, the total we're after. This one on 8 numbers took 382 tries. So if you are a rhinoceros and you're under threat of extinction, and they say, well, you know, evolutionary pressures are driving rhinoceroses to be born without horns. Like, I mean, how long is this hunting been going on for at this level? I don't know, 1930s onwards. You know, a handful of generations, a bit like that game we were playing. 8 generations of rhinoceri, and suddenly there's no horns. Rhinoceros are born with no horns. Now, if a rhinoceros horn's instructions in the genes was as complicated as picking 2 balls from 3, that would be about right. If it were as complicated as picking 4 numbers out of 8, well, it could take 382 generations, and the rhinoceros will be all gone by then. And so what I'm trying to get at this in this little video is that what you think is a random chance, you pick a few items and we'll try different combinations, we'll scenario it through different, life will do this on Earth and in the universe, and then one time it'll work and it'll bloom. The kind of problem with that is this doesn't really scale very well. So we're up to the hundreds now. By the time we get up to, so i.e. if you double from 2 to 4, from 4 to 8, it doesn't double the number of tries from 6 till 12 that you have to do. It makes the number suddenly up in hundreds. This now is now 10 numbers out of 20. If I click that button now, then as you can see, it's 1,000 tries and we still haven't found the answer. 2,000 tries. 3, 4. Now, if a rhinoceros's horn was as complicated as this, for it to change, then you know, there'd be long wipe out by hunting. But yet rhinoceroses 9,000 tries. and not rhinoceroses are now getting born without horns. So something else is going on. That's not random chance. And the other thing that would happen with the rhinoceroses born without horns is, first of all, you'd see these 9,000 tries, or the other tries, many other tries, where they were born with 6 toes and 5 toes and 3 toes and 2 ears and big ears and small ears and no ears and an elephant's trunk and all sorts of bits and pieces. And then no horn. And that works. But they seem to be able to know just what evolutionary thing is needed to protect the species, and they go and deliver that in the next round of babies very quickly. And so that's not the sound of random chance. That's the sound of creating, fixing a problem. It's an engineering feedback loop. Just looking at this one here, the numbers I generated the target from are these alternate numbers in the list here. The computers managed to work out the right answer, but it's actually used totally different numbers, or likely totally different numbers from the one I was using to get that answer. I didn't know it would do that, but of course there's more than one ways to skin a cat. So you can have, we are made of carbon very largely, but we would have been made of silicon, so there are, whatever we have doesn't mean to say that was the only solution to the problem. But nevertheless, there will be times along some evolutionary path whereby you look at the foldings of proteins and how intricate they are, and how all sorts of exciting things happen. It's the incredible level of complexity of these things, and if one thing's out of place, nothing works. So this is an example where I am forcing it so that the answer here, the only answer you can get is the one I have, the same one I used to generate the number, and I use that because the final digit is 10 pence, and there's 10 items with a penny each, so there's no other way for the numbers to fall other than the ones I've chosen. When you click that button to try and generate the 10 numbers that I'm after from 20 numbers, can go on for quite some time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause this for a moment, and we'll come back to it when it's finished. Okay, so here we are, a few minutes later. It's up to 75,000, and it still can't find this combination of numbers. I think I let it run for a while. I think it managed to find it after about 250,000 tries yesterday. So I'll spare us all problems, and we'll stop the program. Let me look at the maths on this a bit more. If you have 20 numbers and you have to pick 10 from them, then what happens is this is the number of permutations. I use the permute function XL is 670 billion 442 million 700 billion. It's a bit massive, great big numbers, just from picking 20 out of, and a permutation, by the way, is this, which is a combination, which is getting the right numbers that they're after. There's 184,000 different combinations of 10 numbers out of 20. But then getting them in the right order, which is going to be very important when you're lining up proteins and stuff and chemicals. You got to. It's not really porridge, isn't it? The sort of thing you're really aiming for when you're trying to create life. And so the order that these things are in is important. And there's like that many just from 10 out of 20. How these numbers kind of work is that how this permute function works. Basically, you take 20 and you have to do what's called the factorial of it, which is 20 times 19 times 8 multiplied by all the numbers behind it. Same with, and then you take the 10, you do the same thing. You do the factorial of the difference, and to get the combinations, you divide this number by this and by this, and to get the permutations, you take this number and you divide it just by the factorial of the difference to get this number. And as you can see, it's really, really big for very small numbers. Now, when we look at, when we hear likes of Richard Dawkins, when he talks about the age of the Earth, which is meant to be like 4 billion years old, essentially 4.6. He won't say it's 4.6 billion years. He'll say 4.6 billion years. And you'll kind of really pump up the billion. A billion is 9 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a rather small number, actually, when you're talking about permutation numbers. I'll show you this here. Basically, this is the headline number, and I'm working out the permutations of 10, taking 5 balls out of 10, and here it's 7 balls out of 14, so half of the thingamajig. And as you can see, very, very quickly, and it'll be a lot quicker, I can put some commas on. So basically, we are into the billions the moment we do 10 balls out of 20, and 640 billion. And the age of the Earth is 4.6 billion. The age of the universe is 13 billion, something like that. Some people say it's 14, etc., etc. If basic rule in maths is if your number is so small, it has a name, it's a small number. Google might be with 100 zeros. It's a reasonably big number, but this is the whole point about this scale thing I was talking about. You're used to, as a child, having a dice, and you play all day long with picking 3 numbers out of 20 by random chance. There's only 120 possibilities to do that. It's a big difference from having 5 balls, but by the time you get but the whole thing about, then you go to school and you learn about Darwinism, and he says random chance. What's in your head is this sort of stuff, the age of the Earth is a few billion years old, billion years old, so be able to cope with this. But if the proteins and carbohydrates and life are anything more 19, you're trying to pick 19 numbers out of 38 numbers, then we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 3, 27 zeros. The age of the Earth is only 1 times 10 to the 17 seconds old. Just isn't enough time for all the complexity. And the scale of random chance is not a way to generate any sort of level of complexity at all. It's basically wanted to get that feel across, which I don't think a lot of evolutionists really have this pattern in their head as to just how enormous the numbers get and how quickly they get. Now, if you were to actually look at the complexity of a carbohydrate, it would be something of the order of, these numbers don't even exist on the thing there. Too big for Excel to, I think too big for Excel. No, they're still look, they're still doing it. See these numbers? So if we had trying to pick 70 numbers out of 140 numbers, this is how many permutations there are, and what the universe is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's how many seconds since the universe, and that's how many permutations of 170 out of 40 there are. And so you don't really stand a chance of being able to use random chance. There just isn't enough time in the universe to do simple stuff. If you were to look at the complexity of a carbohydrate or a protein and all its folds, and just give a value for that sort of thing, you'd have a number here that'd be 1, and this would be 70. If you had 17 billion zeros in this column, and then did the combination of that, that's the sort of ballpark you'd be looking at in terms of being able to work with random chance. And it's a non-starter for getting things done by, and when I say orders of magnitude, I really mean orders of magnitude. Okay. So the question then is, how do you create these things? And the answer is you use intelligence. So for instance, what this is here is a program called Espresso Rack. This was designed by me. And what you do with this thing is you take the numbers that you're looking at, control, stick in, paste in there, and then we go to the target value, which we put here. And this program here does lots of reconciliations and all sorts of things. In this particular instance, it's an allocation assistant. And instead of just using random numbers, what this program does is it uses a bit of thinking, as it were, an algorithm to try and, it knows what the problem is, it knows how to solve it, and away it goes, not randomly testing things, but sort of homing down and hunting the number that it's after. So hopefully that shan't take too long. So you have, there we go, there's the number here. There's the solution found for you memory. And that's reminiscent. It's reminiscent of the way rhinoceroses are born without horns. At some sort of species level, they're under threat. At some sort of species level, they work out very quickly a solution to the problem. They don't grow random toes, and they don't increase their random generation of stuff. Toes grow in all sorts of 3 years grow, and then the horn disappears, and we've used that one. These rhinoceroses are born, they need to lose the horn, they lose the horn. And there's several other examples of that in nature, and so it looks more like that's what's happening, and they have some sort of way of working out how to get what they want done. And so yeah, random chance doesn't work at all because the amount of tries you have to do doesn't go up from this thing to, doesn't double. By the time you double the complexity, it goes up like this, which is things faster than exponential. And just goes on and on and on.